case of a nuclear explosion.
This is a Fourth Rider news break.
New U.S. domestic terrorism priorities raise constitutional alarms, with the Trump administration attempting to label dissent as terrorism. National Security Presidential Memorandum NSPM 7, issued on September 25, 2025, is a presidential directive that, for the first time, appears to authorize preemptive law enforcement measures against Americans based not on whether they are planning to commit violence but for their political or ideological beliefs. The memorandum represents a profound shift in U.S. counterterrorism policy, one that risks undermining foundational American commitments to free speech and association. As the ACLU warns, any definition of terrorism that includes ideological components risks criminalizing people or groups based on belief rather than based on violence or other criminal conduct.
Google goes nuclear. According to the International Energy Agency, large-scale data centers worldwide used about 460 terawatt-hours of electricity in 2022, a figure analysts expect to continue rising for years to come. Google's AI data centers and the Tennessee Valley Regional Power Grid are converging at Hermes 2, an advanced nuclear project poised to become the first Generation 4 reactor in the US, with a commercial power agreement. A small nuclear power plant, called a modular reactor, will most likely be used to power AI data centers in the near future. According to the International Atomic Energy Agency, there are about 70 different designs being researched and developed around the world, including reactors that could one day serve small or remote communities, military applications, and even ships at sea or spacecraft. Ruby Ridge, Fourth Rider, and C.S.A.N. News.
Now that the QAnon movement is a part of mainstream politics, the silence on the Epstein files matters because some followers of the MAGA movement and the Republican Party believe in the false claim that the United States is secretly controlled by a cabal of elites who are pedophiles, sex traffickers, and Satanists. The foundational belief of many of the QAnon followers is that Trump is a heroic figure fighting the elite pedophile ring. Trump's attempts at downplaying or obstructing the very disclosures they believe would validate their worldview has led to confusion. The QAnon movement began with the Pizzagate conspiracy theory in 2016, which falsely claimed that high-ranking Democrats were operating a child sex trafficking ring out of a Washington, D.C., pizzeria. In 2017, an anonymous figure called Q began posting cryptic messages on message boards like 4chan and 8kun, with accusations of a global network of elites involved in controlling global institutions, including governments, businesses, and the media, as well as operating a child trafficking and ritual abuse, which were central to the QAnon movement's narrative. QAnon followers perceive Trump as a messianic figure working to expose this cabal in a climactic reckoning known as the Storm, a moment when mass arrests would finally bring justice. Alex Justice, Radio 4 Play, and C.S.A.N. Fourth Rider News.
Follow orders or obey the law. What U.S. troops told us about refusing illegal commands. Democratic members of Congress issued a video on November 18, 2025, telling the military, you can refuse illegal orders, and you must refuse illegal orders. This is not the first time Trump has put members of the military in situations whose legality has been questioned, but a large percentage of service members understand their duty to follow the law in such a difficult moment. Indeed, since Trump returned to office, many of his actions have alarmed international human rights observers. His administration has deported immigrants without due process, held detainees in inhumane conditions, threatened the forcible removal of Palestinians from the Gaza Strip, and deployed both the National Guard and federal military troops to Los Angeles, Portland, Oregon, Chicago, and other cities to quell largely peaceful protests or enforce immigration laws. Troops who are ordered to do something illegal are put in a bind, so much so that some argue that troops themselves are harmed when given such orders. They are not trained in legal nuances, and they are conditioned to obey. Yet if they obey manifestly unlawful orders, they can be prosecuted. Some analysts fear that U.S. troops are ill-equipped to recognize this threshold. U.S. service members take an oath to uphold the Constitution. In addition, under Article 92 of the Uniform Code of Military Justice and the U.S. Manual for Courts Martial, service members must obey lawful orders and disobey unlawful orders. Unlawful orders are those that clearly violate the U.S. Constitution, international human rights standards, or the Geneva Conventions. Service members who follow an illegal order can be held liable and court-martialed or subject to prosecution by international tribunals. Following orders from a superior is no defense. Our poll, fielded between June 13 and June 30th, 2025, shows that service members understand these rules. Of the 818 active duty troops we surveyed, just 9% stated that they would obey any order. Only 9% didn't know, and only 2% had no comment. Reese Jackson, Radio 4 Play, and C.S.A.N. Fourth Rider News Network.
AI is making spacecraft propulsion more efficient, and could even lead to nuclear-powered rockets. Every year, companies and space agencies launch hundreds of rockets into space, and that number is set to grow dramatically with ambitious missions to the Moon, Mars, and beyond. But these dreams hinge on one critical challenge: propulsion. Artificial intelligence is one type of technology that has begun to provide some of these necessary breakthroughs. Among the most exotic and promising propulsion concepts is nuclear propulsion, which harnesses the same forces that power atomic bombs and fuel the sun: nuclear fission and nuclear fusion. Fission is a more mature technology that has been tested in some space propulsion prototypes, while fusion remains a tantalizing frontier. As scientists push the boundaries of propulsion and intelligence, AI is playing a growing role in space travel. Warren West, Radio 4 Play and C.S.A.N. Fourth Rider News Network.
How do officials in Philadelphia decide who will continue to sleep on the street or in a shelter, and who can move into a supportive housing facility with a warm bed and access to valuable wraparound services? An automated system decides which homeless Philadelphians get housing and who stays on the street, called the Coordinated Entry System, or CES. CES is a form of automated bureaucracy that combines several different algorithms and administrative processes with the goal of helping officials and social service workers allocate resources fairly and efficiently. CES is intended to help workers identify which people experiencing homelessness are in greatest need of aid. These systems will soon come under even greater pressure as the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development prepares to slash funding for supportive housing programs. The way CES works is, by design, hidden from the people it impacts most. The ambiguity is intended to prevent people from gaming the system, but it also creates confusion for those living in shelters and on the street. CES in Philly is not designed to take into account the input of unhoused people themselves. In the words of Richie, a 32-year-old who was seeking housing for himself and his pregnant wife, there is no voice for homeless people, because homeless people don't have a voice. Zoe Pro for Radio 4 Play and C.S.A.N. Fourth Rider News Network.
This is a Fourth Rider News Break.